Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our deep dive into the power of networking at UC Irvine's Executive MBA program. We have two alums of their Executive MBA program. Let me introduce them and we'll get right to it. Ramaji Fuller is an executive director and banker at JP Morgan Private Bank. I recently gave a lot of business to JP Morgan, so I'm very happy to have Fuller in the house. And Tony
Yes.
Perez is CFO and general partner and an owner and two companies in California, Utility Systems Science and Software, and the Technology Resource Center. Tony graduated with Executive MBA from Irvine in 2022, and he was one of our best and brightest graduates of the year. Fuller is graduating this year. In fact, you already just graduated, right?
That's right. Super excited about it.
Terrific. So we have two great people who are really were on the front lines of the program, inside the program, outside the program, and have really good experience with it. So I think we're gonna have a very good session here. Let's go over a little bit about your professional backgrounds and why you chose to get an executive MBA in the first place. Ramaji, why don't we start with you?
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having me. I am always excited to talk about the Executive MBA journey at UCI. I'm very proud to be graduating or to have graduated earlier this summer in June. By way of my professional background, I am, as you mentioned, John, an executive director, private banker at JP Morgan Private Bank. And I have actually been in this role here at JP Morgan for a year. Prior to that, I had a tenured over 20-year career at Citi Private Bank. And that's my background in the financial services industry over 30 years.
That's great. Have you ever met Jamie Dimon?
I have not met Jamie Dimon yet. I say yet. I look forward.
He'll be visiting you soon, I have no doubt.
Absolutely. Busy guy.
and Tony, how about you? Your professional background has been entirely in the electric utility business all your life, right?
That is correct, John. Thank you. And I thank you again for the opportunity to be here, Ramaji. It's wonderful to meet a UCI alum.
Yeah.
So welcome. Yes, I started in the electric utility pretty much in my early years, teen years. I had worked in various roles as a journeyman electrician, apprentice, even the ground floor as an entry-level technician within power plants, refineries, etc. As upon graduation from undergrad, I decided to stay within the industry and sought out a company that at the time was looking for a replacement for an outgoing controller within their company. I stepped into the role, which I thought would be a kind of a summer job in between coursework, and it turned out to be a full-time effort. I haven't looked back since. That was in 1998. The company was a startup in 1996. Within the first 5 years, I became the chief financial officer and general partner, and also a co-owner of the company. In 2002, we spun off a second company, the Utility Systems Science and Software, as we wanted to address the water utility. What we found within the electric utility in our work there is that a lot of the control applications, supervisory control applications that we had worked within the electric utility were also applicable to water. And we would find a way to harness this technology within the water utility. And so that quickly escalated as a startup again in 2002. And I also became the chief financial officer in 2004 and took ownership in 2004 as well.
Why an executive MBA at that point in your career, Tony?
Well, in 20, I guess it would be 2020 when I made the decision to go into the Executive MBA. I realized that both companies were on different trajectories, if you will, within the cycle. Technology Resource Center, which we'll consider the older company, having started about 6, 7 years earlier, was experiencing a period of declining maturity. So the company had been in a mature stage for about 5, 6 years and was beginning to show signs that there was a decline coming. And it was market driven primarily. There were within the electric utility, they were transitioning out of a model which required supplemental workforces such as Technology Resource Center to handle a lot of the system work and to bring a lot of that work in-house. So we were seeing a need for adjustment. The other company, Utility System Science and Software, was on the opposite end of the spectrum. We were moving out of the introductory phase and into the growth phase, and it was occurring very rapidly. So at the time, I had discussed with my business partners plans, strategies that we thought were viable and feasible at the time, and I think we collectively decided that some academic support would certainly couldn't have come at a better time. So I looked at the program, at the UCI EMBA program, among a few others, but firmly decided that the UCI EMBA program could offer, I think, that support that was necessary for both companies for the sustainability over the long term.
Yeah, that's great. We'll get into how it helped you and your company shortly. Ramaji, I want to ask you why an executive MBA at your point in your career.
Sure. Well, education has always been a strong conviction in my family, and being a lifelong learner is just something that, again, I've just been embedded growing up. Education was always something that I knew never could be taken away from me. And I decided that after spending 20 years growing organically within my organization, there were certain skills that I felt that I needed to refine, and felt the UCI Executive MBA program was the right fit for me. I also looked around like Tony at other programs, but really wanted to stay committed to the Orange County community, where I live, work, and breathe, and definitely felt that it was an opportunity for me to test my mettle, to pivot and push myself, so that I could offer my fullest potential within the next stage of my professional and personal life career. I would have the skills to be able to do so, and definitely have found that having completed the program this year.
Plus, you actually have a social sciences degree, so you didn't major in business undergrad either, right?
That is correct. So it was another opportunity for me, again, to refine my academics at that level, and elevate me to be able to have different types of discussions and conversations, both professionally and personally, to continue to grow and learn.
Right. And Ramaji, I wonder, what was it about the Irvine EMBA program that really stood out for you?
Absolutely. Well, I had visited a couple of classes before applying. I was super
Good
impressed.
idea.
Yes, absolutely. And also, similar to Tony, I applied during COVID. So while my auditing of the classes was done via Zoom, I still felt the energy and enthusiasm, the synergy that was going on in the class. I was super impressed with the professors of both of the classes I attended, and it was a no-brainer for me to also tap into just the emphasis on digital transformation. And also, it was an opportunity to seek information and learn more outside of my financial services industry. So I actually went and completed the healthcare leadership track as well, and saw so much alignment, again, to personally test my mettle and venture out into understanding different industries and learning how I can help and be of service to people.
And I see you have certificates from Irvine on digital transformation and healthcare leadership and management policy as a result.
Yes, super excited to have completed that coursework and the learnings that came from it. Again, I felt it was a lot of fun to also go outside of my day-to-day industry and have found so much value and have learned, I have now more passions and pursuits that I can pursue as a result.
Right. Now, Tony, how about you? What was it about UCI's EMBA program that really stood out for you?
I honestly, I think Ramraji hit on all of the pertinent points. I can maybe add that I saw within my industry, we're focused primarily on innovation, and innovation in our industry means digital transformation. When I saw that that was going to be an emphasis of this program, and then further highlighted during the interview process with Jennifer Reisner, I had an immediate attraction. I felt that this would be beneficial to both companies in their trajectory, their respective trajectories, and provide, I think, an opportunity to be focused at an institution that was more or less surrounded by a large population and an environment of innovation and digital technology between the companies that are headquartered in Irvine and surrounding cities within Orange County. It really is a pool, if you will, of that type of companies that can buttress that higher learning and understanding that I was seeking within the MBA. I wasn't disappointed between the coursework, the case studies, and the different speaking events that we had within the program. There was a constant reiteration of that advancement in technologies that was really being born within the Irvine and surrounding area.
I always think that one of the great benefits of an executive MBA program is exposure to other industries, companies, and people with various degrees of experience that are different from your own. So, Tony, you spent your entire career in the utility business. Ramaji, you spent your entire career in banking. How did the diversity of the class and their experience doing different things in different industries help inform your education? Ramaji?
Yes, absolutely. So half of my cohort was they were in healthcare, and so I must say having that support while I was seeking to the coursework and understanding about value-based healthcare and along the other coursework with the healthcare leadership track, it was so great to have their support to help me understand, and I think vice versa when it came to wealth management, financial services. They would ask me certain things about what's going on in my industry. That was what made the experience so valuable and unique to me,
Right.
was the thought that was a part of my cohort. And, alongside the diversity of thought, brilliant group of folks, I may be a bit biased, that I was able to also tap in not just what they did professionally, but also personally, because there was a lot of similarities, correlations that we could all come together to pull through and understand what, our each other's backgrounds.
Well, clearly, they weren't only brilliant, so were you. You are on our best and brightest of the year for executive MBA graduates. That story is coming out on Tuesday of next week, so I know you're there. Tony, since you actually sought your EMBA to gain more academic experience to help your companies, how, in fact, did it help you in the world of work?
Well, I think within my current position as CFO, it certainly supported, from a theoretical standpoint, the situations that we were finding ourselves in within both companies, the necessity to seek new financing, to leverage our investments, and to institutionalize a greater understanding of our mission, our value, and our goals within the company, and broadcast that to the greater employment base, was instrumental really in supporting the growth that we're going through on the utility system side, and seek more input, if you will, from our employment base on the technology resource center side, where we can harness their abilities, their understandings of the business as they see it from the ground level, and provide support on the direction that we can seek as we necessitate a change within the company. I think that there were a few classes in particular that stuck out, that really supported, I think, the direction for both companies. From one standpoint, from a financial standpoint, there were negotiations, for example, that we had to begin to enter into that were uncharacteristic for us. As a small business enterprise, we were largely self-funded. However, with the growth we were experiencing with utility system science and software, that would no longer be feasible to support our growth. So negotiating with different finance institutions, capital resource management institutions was essential. And so picking up on the academics, the lingo, if you will, and really the character and understanding that it takes to operate successfully in that environment was paramount to the success.
Yeah, and negotiations is a real skill, and there is research behind the teaching that can make one much more effective at negotiating with others. So that's a really great takeaway, frankly. Ramaji, I wonder what you took away in terms of how impactful the learning was that has actually made a difference for you at work.
Yes, I'm happy to. Well, at the start of our discussion, I mentioned that I had decided to make a change of employment, of employer during my time while at UCI. And my story was not unlike, I believe half of my cohort, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but a lot of us indeed made some type of career transition, either within our industry or took on another opportunity outside of what folks were doing before. So again, I feel that what I honestly feel, had I not been a part of the UCI EMBA experience, I don't know necessarily if I would have felt the confidence and the resilience to have made the move that I did. Because I think that when you go through an experience like what Tony and I have gone through, you look at your situation personally, professionally, through a different lens. And this program was definitely eye-opening for me in order to push myself to engage in another opportunity professionally. And I've been tremendously happy about that decision. And I was pushed as a result of being part of the program.
That's terrific. And it's surprising to me that so many people have made a pivot of one kind or another in your class, because generally, executive MBAs often gain the knowledge, the skills, the toolkit, the leadership ability to advance further in the companies that they're currently employed in. But obviously, many can use it to make a transition either to a different company or even a different industry or discipline at times. What was your favorite course, Ramaji?
I as well loved negotiations, and I've used it in so many different situations, personally, professionally. Really a very a skill set that should be strengthened and tapped into more. I wish I've become even more interested in just the learnings of that skill, because it's helpful. And I never had thought about negotiations in that particular way had I not had taken the course. It was really fun to engage in those type of discussions and to feel people out, and where body language with how they were approaching a situation, how they spoke to it. Skills that, I will definitely take with me for a lifetime.
That's great. Tony, above and beyond the knowledge, the skills, the toolkit I mentioned that you would get in an executive MBA program, there is a fair amount of attention devoted to leadership development and leadership skills. Now, clearly, you've had a lot of experience and you have your own leadership style, but I wonder if some of the leadership training in the program affected you as a leader.
Absolutely. I think that I would place a high priority on the leadership training that was provided, both through the academic resources that were offered and the practice. I think that one key quality of the MBA program at UCI was the practice of engagement with our cohort. So, as one of the key features of the program is that at the beginning of the term of the program itself, you're divided into teams, which essentially act very much like an executive board of a corporation. And these teams are structured in a way that they're purposely diversified. So no two utility personnel, for example, would be in the same team, nor maybe two healthcare workers. It would more have a diversification across a broad range of different occupations and backgrounds. And that really provided an opportunity for us to hone leadership skills in the sense that we were dividing up a lot of the work to achieve a common goal. So there was a high priority placed on continuous improvement and engagement. Even though we were unfortunately in a hybrid setting during my particular program for roughly half of the MBA program, we found creative ways to adapt to that situational change. And I think it served to strengthen not only the bond, but the efficacy of our teamwork itself. Sometimes under situations of duress or, if you will, crisis, leaders are tasked with certain responsibilities and accountability in overcoming, both addressing the crisis or the situation, being able to engage the individual merits of each person of the team, be able to distribute workloads and accountabilities among the team members, and then really enroll. And in this case, we were enrolling each other, enrolling our own participation in the success of the team. So I think that while it was a team environment with no particular set leader, we all became individual leaders within that team through this experience and through the practice being routine presentations in front of the cohort at large, project work that it would involve, an entire quarter to really facilitate a common goal. And I think that was of supreme importance and really formed one of my key takeaways from the program. So that teamwork and really the way that we organized as a unit to achieve a common goal.
That's great. Ramaja, you already spoke about the self-confidence you gain from the program, and I think self-confidence is a key ingredient to great leadership. How else did the program inform your leadership ability and your leadership thinking?
Well, I think that the program just reaffirmed the interpersonal skills within organizations that are so important to strengthen and bond for everyone to achieve a collective goal of success and greatness. So to Tony's point, definitely working in our individual groups, not only allowed each individual person within our study group to, strengthen their skills, but also test skills that maybe they were not as strong. And we each encouraged each other to do something different. If we happen to be an expert at one thing that would benefit the group, we would actually test each other on, pushing each other to do something that was out of our comfort zone. And that is what I think life experience is about, especially in the business world, is that having the opportunity to push yourself and go beyond your comfort level was definitely a skill set that I further refined and really, really tapped into being a part of doing that, not only for myself, but for my entire team.
Right. I wonder, what three things most resonated with you having done the program? Things that, you'll remember from years later that really made a difference. Ramaji, what do you think the three things would be in terms of highlights for you?
Sure. I reaffirmed my resilience. Attending a program amidst a pandemic while working, challenges with maintaining the balance of family, friendships, which are also important. That resilience has definitely shined. The second, I would say I feel I'm a lot more empathetic, and that came from the organizational behavior, the organizational leadership skills, because it allowed me to take a step back and understand how and what type of leader I want to be and what type of role I want to play as a mentor, ally, sponsor in a leadership role. And I think lastly, the key takeaway is it's okay to make mistakes and be wrong, as long as you learn from them and improve upon your learnings and understanding. And while I have always known this, I think that this program really helped me and give me more confidence in owning that I may be wrong or owning my mistake and seeking ways of improving myself and doing better and finding the right answer, opportunity.
Those are great takeaways. Tony, how about for you? The three things that really you think made a difference?
I think I would have to say that the program certainly strengthened my confident humility. It offered an opportunity for me to be comfortable with the expression of my ideas, both in a board setting and to my corporation at large, from the employee in the field to even vendors, suppliers, customers, to be able to have that confidence to speak my mind and enable change. I would also say that this program emphasized teamwork, and teamwork is very, very highly prioritized in both of my companies as a way to institutionalize change. I think that I've really focused since graduating from the program on socialization and reward allocation. I think it's a way to improve transparency within the company and really ensure that the employees know that they have a voice within the corporation, and most importantly that voice matters. I would probably lastly say that I think that the toolkits, I think that from the academic side, the tools that I had no prior knowledge of, I mentioned earlier, I think both of us had mentioned earlier in negotiations, I still use the negotiation prep sheet, for a lot of the work that I do, whether it be a small task of talking to a new supplier or, like I mentioned earlier, from new financial arrangements or capital lending. I still use that. And I also still utilize a framework that I learned in the final class that I took in the program, which was the practice of general management. We had Professor Hughes, who introduced a different way of looking at the Chilean mining disaster and how leaders can become effective in a crisis. And while it's a major uncertainty for any leader to be faced with a crisis, one of the key aspects, and I should have actually prefaced this by saying preparedness, I think, is something that is invaluable. It proved invaluable during the program because we were dealing with time constraints, with physical constraints being, in a hybrid situation. But what reigned above all of those, and what really enabled us and me as an individual to get the most out of this program, was being prepared. And I think that the practice of general management really emphasized that through this particular case study. And it's a takeaway that I continue to use on a daily basis, whether it's for operations, investments, financing. It's the preparation coupled with the lessons learned from a crisis management has certainly bolstered my effectiveness as a leader.
That's great. I'm thinking that there are a number of people out there who may be sitting on the fence, meaning that, boy, they would love to have an MBA on their resume, and they'd love to have the networking that comes with it, along with the knowledge, skills, and the toolkit we've been talking about. But they worry about whether or not they can balance it with their professional and personal lives, which are pretty busy to begin with. And after all, a program at UC Irvine is not a light MBA. We're talking about a very rigorous, serious program. And the second thing they may be worried about is ROI and the expense of the program. So I want to talk about those two things. Ramaji, how did you obtain balance in your life between your professional responsibilities and your personal life?
That's a great question. When I look back on the roughly 21 months in the program, I think the balance came from having a supportive family, having supportive friends, and a supportive cohort. I think all of those things knowing that you were not in this alone, having the support of your family and friends that were encouraging you to do the very best you can, knowing that this is what you wanted to do. Again, I came into the program seeking my lifelong learner satisfaction, and again, have gained so much as a result of it. I think it's important to audit the classes. And so you get a feel of knowing what to expect, as well as attending all of the previews and any information that you can garner and get from those that have gone through the experience before. And also Jennifer Reisner was great in assessing, where and how you would fit, how well suited you would fit in the program. And I think doing those things and having that constant communication and awareness is super important when you are going to make a commitment such as this into, because it is time consuming. But again, I am a firm believer is what you put into something is what you get in return. And so for me personally, I really went in looking to seek greater opportunities, and as a result, I have personally, professionally, and beyond.
That's great. And Tony, how about you? How did you find balance with the program and your professional responsibilities in your personal life?
I think Ramaji said so much, in terms of the support. I think that's on my list. Number one requirement is to gain that support. And fortunately, I had it from my business partners. The corporation at large was able to, support that certainly help offset the time constraint, because it was a considerable amount of time that I would, have to take away from the company. Balancing that, though, I think was key. Further gaining support from my family, and loved ones and friends, and the community at large was again a key factor in facilitating my interest in completing this program. There was so much to gain, and by addressing the time constraint at the beginning of the program, it really kept me focused on the end goal, which was to really derive as much as I could out of this program, and graduate knowing that I had put all of myself into the program, and that it was a key ingredient in the valuation of myself and my future. I think that it was also important to really provide my teammates, my cohort, my instructors, professors, with the attitude that I was all in, that there was nothing, I think, that would get in my way from completing that goal. I was going to do all the necessary research and preparation to ensure that every course I took and every paper or exam that was taken was the very best of me that I could give at that time. And I think that the value out of this is that I was able to see the program at large as it was structured in such a way that it was a stepping stone, where a lot of the academic resources that I attained at the beginning of the program were continuously reinforced and practiced throughout the entire tenure, so that upon graduation and completing the final coursework, it tied everything in those previous 21 months together in a perfect package that I kind of had that eureka moment, where I saw that all of the difficult work, all of the time that was put in the previous months and years were finally coalescing into this beautifully refined package that I could take away, from the program with confidence that it could be applied, in my for my future and in my corporation itself.
The other issue, I think, is some people look at the price tags on executive MBA programs at great schools, and they're surprised at how high they may be. Can you talk a little bit about that and what the ROI is in terms of what you're getting and what you've gotten out of the program? Tony, let's start with you.
Sure. I think on paper, the ROI has certainly proved its value. Within the first year after graduating, so I would say within the last 16 months, Utility Systems, the company on the upward trajectory, we've tripled our growth. Literally, we tripled sales within this time period, and nearly quadrupled our net profits. So all of the resources and all of the takeaways that I could utilize in day-to-day activity for the company had an immediate realization and an immediate point of value. Further, what I've done is I've institutionalized a way to, in a sense, give back everything all the tools that I had taken from the program, and all of the lessons learned. I was able to, and I have been reinforcing this with my partners, so that we have routine meetings where if there's a subject or a topic that's touched upon that I can immediately relate back to a lesson learned from the program, then it's done and it's backed up with. I've kept, like I said earlier, I've kept all the tools. So I've also kept all the case studies, and they've proven very valuable. I'm able to share those, with my partners and further disseminate that information in the company at large.
That's great.
And it's truly proven invaluable.
Ramaji, your thoughts on ROI and the expense of the program?
Absolutely. Well, I feel very fortunate that both organizations that I was with during the program helped contribute towards the expense of the tuition expense, and that's nice. But definitely, to Tony's point, I think for me personally, when I think of the ROI of this program, it's what I've been able to give back to the community. I've really been focused on some board service opportunities, both in native habitat restoration and in education. And I feel that the skills that I learned in the program has helped me be a better board member, and offer and contribute to better ideas and more succinct ideas towards those organizations. In my professional career, definitely, as Tony has mentioned, the toolkit, the skill sets, those cannot be taken away from me. I also have kept a lot of the case studies and a lot of the tools that was provided to us during our time, during the academic coursework, and those have helped me in generating ideas for my own professional business and what I look to achieve to do. So it's invaluable in that perspective for me.
That's great. You two are fantastic ambassadors for the school. I imagine that both of you would highly recommend the Irvine Executive MBA program to others. And I think, Ramaja, you mentioned that you had audited classes before actually making the decision. I think that's a great idea to basically speak with the admissions officials at the school, talk to current students, seek out an alum who might have been or is in your industry, and get to the campus and audit the class. I think those are really good ways to check out the program and to see if you're a right fit for it. Meantime, Tony and Ramaji, thank you so much for participating. I really appreciated it, and I learned a lot about the program myself.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, John.
Yeah,
Yes.
and good luck. Good luck to both of you.